What is up, Paper Mario fans? Welcome to RPG Ranked. I am Guy Buttersnaps, and if you enjoy Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, please be sure to check out some other videos of Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door that we have on this channel. And of course, a shout out to Garo Leader, who provided the gameplay for this video. And of course, as the title says, we will be ranking all the special moves that you get from the Crystal Stars in Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. And without further ado, let's go. In last place is going to be Showstopper, which you get from the Orange Star, which you get from the 6th chapter. So what does the ability do? I'm sure you know, because you've probably played the game if you're watching this video, but when executed perfectly, all enemies under 12 health, 12 HP, have a chance to be instantly killed. However, like other instant death attacks, it doesn't work as often as it should, and using other attacks is much more reliable, aka Gale Force, which, guess what, costs like 4 FP. Just use it. There's no reason not to use Gale Force or just beat the enemy up in a normal way that isn't an instant death attack. Alright, next is going to be Clock Out, which you get from the 2nd chapter, at the end of the 2nd chapter, and actually, unlike Showstopper, I actually really do like this ability. Showstopper is the only one where I was like, why did we have to get this ability? But here I'm like, dang, I like it. This ability is really awesome, particularly against enemies with high HP early in the game, such as like Gus. Although I don't know why you wouldn't beat Gus before you got this ability. Or the Dark Koopa Troll found at the end of Chapter 3. It mobilizes all enemies on screen for a few turns, which is great. So basically, I mean, it's good against any enemy, especially enemies with high levels of HP. So that's, I was saying Gus or Dark Koopa Troll because they have a lot of HP, but they're not bosses. However, this doesn't work against bosses, so that's probably the biggest problem with it. And it also is pretty hard to use. A lot of times it'll be like, what am I doing? Like the first few times you use the ability, you're probably going to be like, what exactly is happening? But it's a good ability, but a lot of enemies will have status immunities, and it doesn't even work on bosses at all. And it's hard to use. Is it still a decent ability? Yeah, it's not too bad. But is it too good? Nah. Alright, let's move on to the final special move you get in the game. Supernova, which you get from Chapter 7. Supernova is fine, I guess. It does 15 damage, which is a lot in this game, but it's 6 star power to use. You heard me right. That's not worth it at all. Like, you could use 6 SP, or you could use like 12 FP to use Fiery Jinx a couple times, and you do 15 damage. I don't know. It's not worth the 6 SP. Like, you could be using Sweet Feast, or Power Lift, or just Sweet Treat, or Earth Tremor. Like Earth Tremor, what, you can still do 6 damage for 1 SP? Just use Earth Tremor a couple times. Like, you're not gonna die that quick. Or use Power Bounce. That's basically what you use for offense in this game. Or Multi-Bounce, or your partners. You don't need to use Supernova and waste this much SP. However, there are a couple times where I was like, dang, this is good. Like, against Shadow Queen, against, heck, it's OP against the Shadow Sirens if you just, like, heal your SP back. Like, it's not worthless. There are a couple times I used it, but it's not something you can use more than, like, 3 times after you get it, I'm gonna be honest. Alright, next is gonna be Sweet Feast. Imagine this. For 1 SP, you can restore 5 health to Mario and his partner as well as 7 FP. Now for 5 SP, restore 12 health to Mario and his partner as well as 15 FP. So for 1 SP, I could heal that much. And then for 5 SP, I heal twice as much. But it's 5 times as much SP. I think if this was 3 SP, it'd be my favorite special move in the game. But why is it 5? Like, that's way too much for this. I mean, this is really, really good in the Pit of 100 Trials. Like, there are a lot of times where like, oh dang, this is amazing. But In most cases, I'd rather just use Sweet Feast a couple times unless I'm fighting hard, like really hard enemies. But yeah, just like Supernova, it isn't worth it in that many cases because it's just way too high SP cost. So, yeah, it's still a great ability, but too high of SP cost. Alright. Here we go again with another high SP costing move. That's going to be Art Attack. This ability can do against a singular small target. Can do, like, if you know how to use this ability, you can hit every enemy for 20 damage, which is more than Supernova and cheaper. This is a really good like multi-target attack if you know what you're doing. It is still pretty expensive, like 4 SP or whatever, and I still don't think it's like that great because again, there are usually better moves, but against like multi-target, this is a good multi-target ability if you're using it right. It's actually pretty dang good. Now, if you think about, you could still use multi-bounce, you could use multiple power bounces. Like, it's still not the best thing you can be doing with your turn, but it still can be really good if you know how to use it and hit multiple enemies for 20 damage. So, I'm not complaining. It's a really good multi-target ability if you are good at it. Alright. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be Power Lift. Alright. The only reason this ability isn't in like first or second is because why would you ever use this outside of bosses? Whereas the next two I feel like yeah, boss fights, but I mean, the majority of fights you're fighting are not boss fights. So I put Power Lift in third, but honestly, these last three, depending on the day, probably will switch them around a bit, but I'm going to put Power Lift in third. This ability is the best special move for boss fights, no questions asked. If executed correctly, you can buff by 3 or 4 points the attack and defense of Mario and his partner. This is like the most broken thing ever. It does cost 3 SP, which is quite a bit, but it is actually worth it this time around. It is fantastic, but it is still a little bit situational because it's amazing for bosses, but yeah, like it's not one I used a lot, I will say. I used it in most boss fights, but these next two I was using on like every other battle basis because they're that cheap. So it is great. Power Lift is great, but I didn't find myself using it as much as these next two abilities. Alright, next is going to be Earth Tremor, which you get right after the first Crystal Star, after the first chapter. This may come as a surprise, but this is one of the 2 special moves that I use on a regular basis. Unlike Art Attack, this ability is cheap, or unlike Supernova, and hitting the whole enemy party for 6 damage for 2 FP, not 2 FP, 2 SP, is worth it in my opinion. This is really good for the first 4 chapters of the game. It hits everything on screen. It doesn't matter what its defense is or whatever, you're still going to be doing just as much damage. Once moves like Bob-omb Bast are unlocked, yeah, or Fiery Jinx, yeah, or Coops, Coops' abilities, or I don't know, like later in the game it's not quite as good, but for the first 4 chapters I literally was using this all the time, like every 2 or 3 battles. It is kind of obscene how often I used it. But like things like spiky buzzy beetles, like you don't want to be setting up shifting around all of your badges just to fight some enemies and then just to change them right back. No, you could just use this ability. Boom, they're dead. I don't think it's better than Power Lift from an effect standpoint, but due to the fact it's just so cheap and reliable, I put it higher than Power Lift. Not more broken, but more reliable. Alright, Sweet Treat is easily my favorite in the game. I love Sweet Treat. Why? Because I used it every freaking battle. It's a singular SP to use. It gets around 7 flower points. You use a partner ability, and you get your HP back. Rinse and repeat. You can do this every battle because if you stylish on those on Mario and your partner's turn, then you'll have enough SP to use it again. And it's just a cycle of having full HP and FP, like all the time. And sure, later in the game when you get like More expensive abilities, it's not going to restore enough. But if you put like Flower Finder on, Heart Finder on, you'll have enough. Like, you'll never run out of HP or FP in regular battles. Also, getting 1 SP, it's 2 or 3 appeals or stylish moves. It's not hard at all. And it can be spammed super often. I use this ability every 1 or 2 battles. And it allowed me to I got all the way to chapter 8 with 10 HP, 10 FP, and 60 BP. Because I was just able to heal myself so often. And obviously I super guarded and stuff. But like, I just love this ability. It's my favorite. It's the one I use the most. It's super inexpensive. It's really awesome. And overall, it was my favorite special ability. Sure, Power Lift is the most broken one. But yeah, Earth Tremor and Sweet Treat I just use so much more often. And they were my personal favorites. If not, objectively the best. Thank you guys all for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more Paper Mario the 1000 Year Door content. So far, we've got a partner ranking, chapter ranking, boss ranking. I think there's another one. Badge ranking. That's what it is. So yeah, please be sure to check out those videos if you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys all for watching. Have a fantastic day. Peace out, RPG nerds.